Hi, my name is Drew Pepoli, and I want to be your next state representative. My family and I made the Green Lodge neighborhood of Dedham our forever home back in 2015. And since then, I've volunteered my time across local politics, which has included serving on town meeting, the planning board, and the town's capital expenditures committee. At times also been in youth sports, which has included Dedham youth hockey and basketball, and many other town causes. I'm a graduate of Northeastern University, and my professional work spans the fields of commercial real estate, finance, and auditing. Work which gives me a great background in the intricacies of budgeting, negotiation, financial management, zoning matters, and housing. I'm running for many reasons, but high level because much of our district and state has been underserved, underrepresented, and unheard for far too long on Beacon Hill. This need for change isn't just a campaign buzzword for me. It's a pressing reality. We've had the same representation for over 17 years. Representation which no longer reflects the shifting needs, dynamics, and voting demographics of our community. We are at an inflection point in this state and as a district. The old ways, the status quo, the feelings that we cannot change things, it has to go. We need an independent voice that votes for our district, and one that votes with a broad spectrum of political beliefs in mind, not one that consistently toes a party line over people. It's time to move away from the polarizing extremes that currently dominate our political discourse and break from the agendas of the two legacy parties. Recent polls and events have highlighted the urgent need for change in our state legislature. So here's why I am asking for your vote. First, we need true independence, not party line voting. Since 2015, my opponent has voted with his party leadership a staggering 99.5% of the time. This lockstep mentality doesn't serve our politically diverse community, and it's not moderate nor bipartisan. We need a representative who thinks independently and isn't afraid to cross the aisle or anger the speaker. Second, to address voter dissatisfaction. A recent poll by Mass Inc. polling group shows that a historic 47% of voters disapprove of our current lawmakers' performance. This discontent stems from a lack of genuine representation and effective governance. Additionally, a whopping 70% of these same voters feel that the legislature is so broken that they support a ballot measure to allow the state auditor to audit it. These numbers clearly show that voters are demanding change and greater accountability. As your representative, I will prioritize transparency and responsiveness to your needs and concerns. Third, we need to fix current misrepresentation that we have in the legislature. Our district's political makeup is drastically different from what we see at the State House. The makeup of the voters in our district are 26% Democrat, 10% Republican, and 64% Independent. However, the current Mass legislature is 84% Democrat, 15% Republican, and only 1% Independent. This significant imbalance means that many voices in our district go unheard. And while many independent and unenrolled voters do tend to have some political leanings left or right, the majority of this base do not solely have conservative or liberal views, a position landing them squarely in an increasingly growing political no man's land, a position that leaves them having to vote between the lesser of two evils, an uncontested Republican or Democratic candidate, or worst of all, not voting at all. And fourth, to challenge legislative inaction and secrecy. Last year, our full-time legislature met an average of only 2 to 3 times a month during critical periods of housing and budgetary crisis. Study after study finds that Massachusetts has one of the least efficient and least productive governments in the United States. And this inaction has real consequences. Key bills on economic development, child safety, hospital oversight, and prescription drug pricing were left unfinished when formal sessions ended. The Massachusetts Taxpayer Foundation criticized the consistent inability to enact planned legislation over a 2-year session. Additionally, the Mass Senate, House, and the Governor's Office routinely exempt themselves from public records requests, and even basic procedural matters like voting are often veiled from the public eye. These are just a few of the major reasons I'm asking for your support. Support that will make 2024 be the year we emerge from the status quo. For 17 years, our current representative has been at the helm, presiding over an era of increasing dysfunction in our state legislature. And while we thank our current rep for his earlier service, it is clear that the rep we have today is not the same representative many remember from years past. His priorities have shifted, aligning more with the party's agenda than with the diverse needs of our district. We cannot afford representation that's content with merely voting the party line to keep a paycheck and his committee assignment. Our district deserves more. We need a representative whose primary focus is advocating publicly and forcefully for our interests. Someone who isn't afraid to vocally challenge the system and speak the truth to power. So what do I bring to the table? Well, I pledge to prioritize transparency and accountability in all legislative actions I take, not vote against them. I will actively seek, not wait for, input from all constituents, regardless of political affiliation, by using social media tools and direct face-to-face contact. I will work collaboratively across party lines to find practical solutions, not voting the same way 99% of the time. I will regularly and publicly communicate my actions and decisions back to you in real time, ensuring that you're in the loop on critical issues on Beacon Hill. So my full platform and what I plan on accomplishing from a policy standpoint can be found on my website. But I also wanted to quickly share some highlights here. I plan on introducing or supporting legislation that creates a greater shift of new tax dollars from casinos, online gambling, cannabis sales, and the surtax to be directed to municipalities versus statewide program and initiatives. I want to implement term limits and lobbying reforms. Elected office should never be a career for your life, and special interest groups should never be able to access and influence any legislator through donations. I want to improve and expand senior tax credits. Senior citizens have paid more than their fair share over their lives. It's time to provide them with a break. And lastly, I want to curtail the use and abuse of our emergency shelter system by non-mass residents, but specifically the companies that prey on these individuals and system. Massachusetts should not have to bear the financial burden of this crisis, which has been created by the inaction of our federal government. Having an I next to my name and being gainfully employed outside of the State House means I will not have to face the same pressure that our current rep does. I am not there for a paycheck. I am not there to chair a no-show committee, and I am not there to vote a party line. I am there to make things uncomfortable for those who want to continue the status quo and to be the intermediary to form a coalition of like-minded individuals, for which I know there are. In my time in local government, I have shown that I can not only speak up on topics that are controversial and uncomfortable, and additionally challenge those people in positions of power, but more importantly, I have shown the ability to work with and even support at times those who I have fundamentally different political views from, because I feel what they are proposing makes sense or that they bring an underrepresented position or voice to a board or committee. And while I have not always been able to find common ground with some individuals, and it's not for not trying, for the majority of the time, I have worked successfully on boards and committees with those from the left, those from the right, and all of those in between. When you have a record of voting one way almost 100% of the time, it's not moderate, it's not bipartisan. And this does not show you have the qualities I have described about myself above. 64% of us in this district do not solely identify with being fully left or right. So why do we not have someone who reflects that representing us? The choice is clear. Continue with the same representation that has led us to the point of dysfunction and voter dissatisfaction, or embrace a new direction with independent, energetic leadership focused solely on serving our community. Join me in bringing change to our district. Together, we can build a more responsive, effective, and truly representative government that works for all of us. I hope to earn your vote on November 5th. Thank you for your time.